Today, we're basically going to do a look back on Ruben Amorim's first game in charge of Manchester United away at Ipswich. And we'll do a bit of a look forward as well to the next game. Before that, though, I just wanted to basically catch up on the big story points of the weekend in the Premier League. We obviously continue to see Liverpool flying. It's quite disheartening as a United fan, but obviously we have to give them their due. Mo Salah absolutely flying. The story point there was him coming out afterwards, and he has mentioned this before, but coming forward and saying that the club has not presented him with a new contract offer. And for me, that's quite incredible. I mean, Mo Salah has been flying for Liverpool, carrying the flag for many years now, showing such consistency, such dedication, such clutch moments, and winning multiple games. For me, it's a bit ridiculous that such a player is not being sort of being not forced, but at least giving a contract offer, having those discussions. By his sounds, usually at this stage, players are quite cagey and they want to weigh up the options. But he's saying that he loves it there. He wants an opportunity. He would like to stay, but the club is not engaging. So it seems like he's going to be leaving. And for me, that's quite incredible. I think it would be so foolish. Yes, I understand there's more to it and they have to look at the finances, look at the age profile. But literally at this stage, the man is absolutely flying and doesn't look like he's going to decline. I'm pretty sure if they offered him just a year extension, and I think that probably wouldn't be fair, but at least, let's say then a 1 or 2 year contract, I'm pretty certain he would sign. And the risk of that going horrible shouldn't be as bad. That's my take of it. But again, kudos to Liverpool, kudos to Arne Slot. I really didn't think this was where they would be so soon, but the quality is there and they're just continuing. They've got another big game coming up after Champions League. They play Man City this weekend. I mean, they're 8 points clear at the moment. If they win that, 11 points clear. I don't know where do City come after that. Moving on to City, 4-0 at the Etihad. That is craziness. Nobody would have expected that. And Spurs had injury problems. That was a shock. That was massive. That was massive. I don't know what is going on with City at the moment. It seems like Pep doesn't have the answers. And it's incredible because of their level and because of their consistency and because of what they've done for such a long time to now be in this position. 5 losses in a row in all competitions. That is madness. Madness. They've got a relatively easy-ish fixture against Feyenoord midweek in the Champions League. But then they play Liverpool over the weekend and I am so nervous for them. But yeah, sometimes it's when you're deep in the doldrums, it's actually, I guess it's kind of sad, but to see they're not even our competitors, but that's where we'd want to reach, and to see them down and fighting, it gives us a bit of, I guess, joy and hope nonetheless. But moving on to the much anticipated game over the weekend against Ipswich and Ruben Amorim's first game. First of all, his press conferences were phenomenal. I feel like some of the questions were actually really tricky, were really, really difficult, but he just dealt with it so smoothly. I, I this manager, I don't know. Again, I don't want to get my hopes up too much. We've been scarred by the previous regime, but just from the sound bites, from how he carries himself, it's incredible that EQ and the way how he answers questions, the way how he is so confident but not arrogant and still so humble, but just showing that he's got that authority. It's such an incredible mix. And I'm excited. I'm going to back this manager. And I hope the club backs him. And I think they will. And yes, it'll take time. We saw, let's get into the game. We saw that it will take time. We saw there's a lot to do. Looking at the lineup, yes, as we expected. And as there's a few I guess, experts who were saying that he won't play 3-4-3. But in any case, as we predicted, he was always going to play a 3-4-3. Just depended on the personnel. There was a few players missing in defense, so the centre backs. I mean, starting with Johnny Evans wasn't ideal, and Mazraoui, I thought he had quite a good game. He was a bit unfortunate with the deflection coming off his head. But again, and Amorim actually touched on it that this guy can play anyway. He is just an overall ball player. What I will add though, looking at the wing backs, I was a bit surprised by Diallo starting as a right wing back. Looking back, it actually makes sense. His profile probably fits in similar to Quenda at Giovanni Quenda at Sporting Lisbon, also left-footed, also diminutive, hardworking. So that actually, in retrospect, made a lot of sense. I don't know if that's his best position. I think there are perks in the sense where he gets to sort of run from deep and he can then show his pace. So I think that's quite a positive. And obviously, the point is to push the opposition and to basically create those overloads and pressure. So your wing backs should essentially be quite far forward. I thought, again, it was quite difficult, playing in that new position. He got quite a bit of praise, and I don't think he was necessarily found lacking defensively. So overall, I think he was one of the standout performers on the day. He almost snatched it at the end, which would have been incredible. It was quite an amazing run across the box, and there was one or two opportunities where he just had, and it just didn't fall, and he wasn't able to get that shot off and not get it off cleanly in any case. But what could have been. I also think there is a bit of, from all the players, he's got probably the most confidence at the moment. However, I think he still has so much more. He can beat players at will. He can run at them. And that's where the team just needs to get that confidence. Darlow, on the other hand, was quite disappointing in my opinion. I didn't think that was his best game. But again, a new position. He has it in his locker to be able to run at players, to be able to get onto the ball, create that space. He can cross with both feet. He can cut in. He's got a lot to his game. So let's see how that progresses. I thought when Luke Shaw came on, that made a massive difference to the game. It really changed the way the team plays. And he's such a competent player. For me, I actually think he should be the first choice left centre back. And I know Martinez is amazing and the system might bring out his best. But Luke Shaw was phenomenal. Between the two of them, I think we've got such good options. If they can both just stay fit, that will be amazing for us. Then in midfield, I I thought that was a bit disappointing. The first phase of play was quite solid. It wasn't fantastic, but I mean, the players never really lost the ball. What happened was they kept knocking it around, basically between the back five, and even when those players were pushing up, they played it into the wings, but which is completely fine. But you need to get that midfield progression. The ball still needs to come back in. You need to progress through it. That's technically and hypothetically where, or theoretically, where we've got our box midfield shape, and we just weren't getting that. We had overloads at many times. They were supposedly 4-on-3s, 4-on-2s, but we weren't using it. The players just look like shot on confidence. Ericsson, I thought he had quite a poor game. We know physically he's not going to be able to put in a lot of output in terms of getting around the field, but technically you do expect him when he gets on the ball that he will be able to create something. So that was a bit disappointing from his end. He didn't have that many passes. He wasn't able to break the lines. He wasn't able to really show as an outlet to receive the ball. So I thought he didn't have the best game. Look, a lot of players didn't really look amazing, but I expected a bit more. Casemiro, a little bit better, but not, yeah, also a bit disappointing. He could have done a bit more. And again, this was not our first choice team. So perhaps I think finding that right pairing might take a bit of time. And obviously, as Amorim stated, it's the training pitch where we're really going to need and to basically grow and for players to understand, because a lot of them, and you mentioned this as well, that they kept thinking about what do they need to do, and it was quite new for them. So once it becomes natural and once it becomes second nature, we're going to see a different beast. Bruno for me was a bit disappointing. I expected a bit more from him. I was expecting him to come more into his own, similar to the Bruno that we saw under Oli, and being able to be a threat in that final third, being able to hold on to the ball. Yes, high risk passes, but a lot more should come off. It's pointless just giving the ball away all the time and nothing coming off. And I don't think he is getting the right support and the right level of runners, and there isn't that level of understanding between the players. So that was a bit disappointing. Garnacho did okay. I thought he had some good moments where he was running with the ball, running at the opposition, but it's just that final decision making and sometimes a bit unlucky. But I think that will come. Rashi, I mean, like amazing to get his goal so soon in the game, but after that, there wasn't too much to talk about. But we'll see. I think that's his, position in the team. It's between him and Hoyland up front. I wouldn't mind seeing Xerxes there as well, but we need to also see him a lot more in the box. We need to see players getting into that box. For the first goal, there was three of them that rushed into the box. After that, players were not getting into the box. And it's that middle phase and the final phase where we really need to work on. And the players need to be able to, a lot of it is confidence. They need to have that confidence. They need to be comfortable in what they're doing. At the moment, players seem a bit scared to get on the ball, to be able to dictate the flow. And Ipswich sensed blood. Going 1-0 up, it should have been such a massive advantage. We should have been able to basically push forward and turn that game on its head, put pressure on the team, but we weren't able to do that. And that was a bit disappointing. And Ipswich sensed that, we were second guessing ourselves. We weren't the most confident, and they grew into the game and they outfought us, physically, which was again so disappointing to see. But their players physically, they overwhelmed us. And I'm hoping that changes. Hopefully, Ugarte, once I think he is completely fit. He only had one training session in the previous week because of international commitments with Uruguay. But hopefully, I think he comes into the team and he makes a difference. My one worry is on the ball, but let's see. He That's something we need to work on that half turn, being able to receive the ball. And Kobe obviously wasn't fit, but I'm hoping we'll see a bit more of him. Hopefully that has the makings of a decent partnership. Otherwise, I'd like to see Ugarte with Casemiro, and I think that might be quite a decent platform to build from. Also, I think seeing hopefully in future Mount and maybe Bruno as the two tens, that might be quite effective as well. So there's a lot to figure out. I thought of Onana, I forgot to mention him, but he was amazing, our man of the match, probably the man of the match. He definitely saved us from defeat. He's really been playing, one of our better players for sure. And I think he's really growing into his role. So that's quite a positive. It's now up to basically, as our manager said, we basically need to have time on the training pitch. It's going to take time for players to understand what they need to do. There's a lot of games, so there isn't much, of a turnaround. But how I see it is, it sort of becomes our learning and our training sessions are going to have to be games. It's unfortunate because we're under pressure and we need results, we need wins, but that's where the players are going to learn. So it will probably be a bit painful, but we will get there, and then we will see that progression. And that's, I think, what a lot of us and what I'm excited about is to see that progression, to see how things change, and we'll start to see slowly which players actually fit. There was a few positives, quite a few things that we need to work on, but overall, I mean, at least we'll know where we're heading, and at least we'll see, which I'm hoping, and I'm pretty certain about that, but in the coming few weeks, to see those actual players, stepping up, being able to ascertain which players can play in which positions and are comfortable to do that, and try and get towards a settled starting team, or at least a core of a team, because that's what makes a monumental difference. That's where you build relationships, build patterns, understand, have that confidence, know what your teammates are going to be doing. So I'm quite excited to see how this progresses. We've got sort of and not to be disrespectful, because that's our level, right? I mean, we play in Europa League on Thursday night. We finished 8th last season. So, we're not this big team. Yes, we're a big name, but we've got such a long way to go. So I don't want to disrespect our opposition, Bodo Glint, for Thursday. Whenever I see, no apologies, but whenever I see or read that name, I think of Bilbo Baggins. But nonetheless, I think it'll be a good exercise to, once again, I don't want to call it a training exercise because it is a big game. It is a European game. It is at home though, so it gives us that benefit, and we don't need to travel, and we've got another home game after that on the weekend against Everton, so that's quite a decent one. But these two games should be a good opportunity, just in terms of, call it a very competitive uh, training rehearsal and trying to get players to do a bit better. And I'm hoping we see a bit more of a goal threat. That's something we really lack. So all in all, yeah, it was a bit disappointing, I must say. However, there's a lot to work with. There's a lot that we can see. At least, as Ruben Amorim told us, we will see an idea, and I think we did see that. There's a lot to work from here. But I'm so certain we've got the right man. Super excited to see how this progresses, and we'll take it from there. Next update will be most probably after the game on Thursday, and we'll do a bit of a preview of the Europa League, and then heading into the league fixtures over the weekend against Everton. So, yeah, again, we'll end it at that.